How is it possible for a single piece of clothing to cost more than a luxury penthouse in the heart of Manhattan? It sounds like a joke, or perhaps a massive accounting error. We are talking about $12 million. That price, you could buy a fleet of high-end supercars, a private island, or even a literal castle. But instead, NASA spent it on this. This brings up a massive, startling question. How can a garment possibly justify a price tag that rivals the budget of a small city? The secret is in the name. Most people call it a spacesuit, but to the engineers at NASA, it's something entirely different. This is actually a personal spacecraft. It is a sophisticated, human-shaped fortress engineered to do the impossible: keep a fragile biological organism alive in the most hostile environment in the known universe. Think about the void of space. It's a silent, blistering vacuum where the rules of Earth simply don't exist. One moment, you are being scorched by unfiltered solar radiation at 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and the next, you are plunging into a shadow at minus 250. Without protection, your blood would literally boil, and your lungs would collapse in mere seconds. You are nothing but a vulnerable, fragile collection of water and bones facing the infinite, extreme cruelty of the cosmos. And yet, this armor, this $12 million engineering masterpiece, is the only thing standing between you and instant evaporation. It has to be perfect. There is zero room for error. But what exactly is hidden inside this massive, high-tech shell? What sophisticated mechanisms allow a human to survive where even the toughest machines fail? To understand why this suit costs more than a private jet, we need to peel back the layers and examine the engineering technology that makes life possible in the dead of space. To understand the suit, we first have to understand the nightmare it was built to survive. Imagine standing in a place where the concept of weather doesn't exist, only extremes. On one side of your body, the sun hits you with blistering intensity, reaching temperatures of 250 degrees Fahrenheit. That's enough to boil water instantly. But then, you step into the shadow of your spacecraft, and the temperature nosedives to minus 250 degrees. This isn't just a change in temperature, it's a thermal assault that would shatter conventional materials like glass. This is the dead zone, and it gets worse. Space isn't actually empty. It is filled with microscopic fragments of rock and dust known as micro-meteoroids. Because there is no air to slow them down, these tiny specks travel at blistering velocities, up to 17,000 miles per hour. That is faster than a high-velocity rifle bullet. At that speed, a grain of sand carries the kinetic energy of a bowling ball. It doesn't just hit, it wreaks havoc, it pierces, it destroys. This is the baseline reality for a NASA astronaut. This is the environment that your $12 million armor has to hold back every single second without a single moment of failure. It is a startling reality that forces us to question how anything made by human hands can withstand such extreme conditions. So, how does this personal spacecraft actually fight back? It follows a meticulously crafted 4-step survival protocol that transforms a soft garment into a life-sustaining fortress. Step 1. Pressurization. In the vacuum of space, the lack of outside pressure would cause the gases in your blood and tissues to expand, leading to a horrifying physical transformation. To prevent this, the suit is essentially a pressurized vessel. It inflates with pure oxygen to a specific pressure, holding your body together against the void. It's like being inside a human-shaped tire, but one that is so stiff that every move of your arm requires significant physical effort. You aren't just wearing the suit, you are fighting against it. Step 2. The breath of life. Behind the astronaut's back sits the Primary Life Support System, or PLSS. This is the heartbeat of the suit. It provides a constant, regulated stream of oxygen for the astronaut to breathe. But breathing isn't just about what you take in, it's about what you give off. Which brings us to step 3. Carbon dioxide removal. Every time you exhale, you release CO2. In a sealed suit, that gas would quickly build up, becoming toxic and causing confusion, unconsciousness, and eventually death. Inside the PLSS, a canister of lithium hydroxide acts as a chemical filter, scrubbing the CO2 from the air before it can reach lethal levels. 4. It is a silent, invisible lifesaver that must function perfectly for hours at a time. Finally, step 4. The thermal management system. Because the suit is so well insulated to keep out the extreme cold, your own body heat has nowhere to go. Without intervention, you would literally cook inside your own armor. To solve this, NASA developed the Liquid Cooling and Ventilation Garment, or LCVG. It looks like a suit of long underwear, but it is woven with over 300 feet of flexible plastic tubing. Chilled water constantly circulates through these tubes, pulling heat away from your skin and dumping it into space through a sophisticated sublimation process where ice turns directly into gas. It's a complex internal plumbing network designed to keep your core temperature stable while the universe outside tries to freeze or fry you. When you see these systems in action, you begin to understand the authority behind the design. It isn't just a suit. It is a masterpiece of engineering technology. But this is where the confidence turns into a startling realization. Despite the $12 million, despite the 14 layers of high-tech fabric, and despite the decades of testing, this mobile fortress has a startling vulnerability. It has an Achilles heel. Think back to those micro-meteoroids traveling at 17,000 miles per hour. While the suit is composed of incredibly tough materials, including layers of Kevlar and aluminized mylar, it is still at its core soft armor. It has to be flexible enough for an astronaut to work. If a single micro-meteoroid happens to hit a joint or specific area of high stress, it can bypass the outer shielding. We are talking about a hole no bigger than the tip of a needle. In a pressurized system, that tiny puncture is a catastrophic event. The oxygen begins to hiss out into the vacuum, the pressure drops, the cooling system begins to fail. In a matter of minutes, the most advanced armor on Earth becomes a death trap. This is the constant underlying tension of every spacewalk. You are inside a masterpiece of engineering, but you are also just one tiny, high-velocity accident away from the end. It is a startling moment of volet, realizing that even $1 billion defense network is ultimately at the mercy of the smallest threats in the cosmos. These mid-air changes in pressure and temperature wreak havoc on the human body, and even the best systems can only do so much. The combination of extreme speed from external threats and the sudden course changes of internal pressure reveals a major vulnerability, even in one of the most heavily engineered pieces of equipment in the world. What this really drives home is that even as we gain access to highly advanced technology, we remain incredibly fragile. To understand how the suit truly works and why it costs so much, we need to examine the functioning of the individual layers and the materials that make up the kill vehicle of this survival system. It raises the ultimate question: if the technology is this risky, what is the big deal about continuing to use it? Let's look inside the engineering technology of the layers themselves to find out. Let's examine the cost implications of this high-tech armor. When NASA first developed the Extravehicular Mobility Unit in the mid-70s, the bill came out to roughly $12 million per suit. At first glance, that might seem like an expensive piece of equipment, but when you factor in inflation, the reality is far more startling. In today's money, that single outfit would cost you over $150 million. To put that into perspective, for the price of one spacesuit, you could buy a fleet of F-35 fighter jets or fund an entire small-scale space mission. It is a staggering, almost offensive amount of money for something that looks like a bulky set of white overalls. It drives home a cynical question. Is NASA just bad at shopping, or is there a deeper, more calculated logic behind this extreme expenditure? To understand the functioning of this economic paradox, we need to look at the alternative. Let's study the human cost of a mission. NASA spends millions of dollars and years of intense specialized training on every single astronaut. These individuals are some of the most highly educated and physically capable humans on the planet. From the moment they are selected, every second of their time is an investment of public funds and national prestige. If an astronaut is lost during a spacewalk because a cheap valve failed or a seam burst, you haven't just lost a person. You've lost a decades-long investment, a multi-billion-dollar mission, and the trust of the entire world. When you compare the $150 million price tag of the suit to the catastrophic cost of a failed mission, the math starts to shift in a way that is both shocking and startlingly logical. By contrast, look at how we value technology on Earth. We build cars to last 10 years and phones to last 2. But a spacesuit? It is built to predict and intercept every possible threat in an environment that is actively trying to kill its occupant. Each component is handcrafted with a level of precision that makes a Swiss watch look like a child's toy. There is no mass production here. There is no budget version. Every stitch is documented, every layer is tested under extreme stress, and every sensor is calibrated to a degree that wreaks havoc on a normal manufacturing budget. You are paying for a zero failure rate in a universe that loves to see things fail. But here is the real aha moment, the twist that completely confuses our traditional understanding of value. When you look at that $12 million suit, you aren't actually looking at clothing. You are looking at a highly sophisticated, human-shaped life insurance policy. In the vacuum of space, you are essentially a non-state actor trying to survive in a domain ruled by major cosmic powers: gravity, radiation, and pressure. The suit is your only defense network. If you were standing on the edge of a cliff and someone offered you a rope for $10, you'd take it. But if that rope was guaranteed never to break, even if a mountain fell on it, would you pay 100? 1,000? What if it was the only rope in existence and the cliff was 1,000 miles high? The value of the suit isn't in the materials themselves. It's not about the Kevlar or the Mylar or the gold-plated visors. The value is in the maneuverability of survival. It's the ability to step into a death zone and walk back out. We aren't buying a suit, we are buying the certainty that a human being can exist where they shouldn't. We are buying a personal spacecraft that detaches from the safety of the station and allows the pilot to maneuver and glide through a silent, blistering velocity of threats. This incident really drives home the startling reality of high-stakes engineering. In the world of aerospace, there is a massive gap between expensive and vital. The Israeli Aero 3 or the US-developed TIAD systems cost millions because a failure means a city is leveled. The spacesuit costs millions because a failure means the end of a human life and everything that person represents. When the stakes are total, the price becomes secondary. It's a chum biem, a sarcastic irony of our existence. We spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a few layers of fabric and plastic just so we can spend a few hours in a place where we aren't supposed to be. But what sets this suit apart from any other defensive system is its ability to accelerate our understanding of the universe. While its control surfaces enables steering through the famous dangers of the void, its internal systems reveal a major vulnerability in our own biological design. We are fragile, we are weak, and yet we have the audacity to build $12 million armor to prove otherwise. It is a startling moment in the ongoing regional tensions between human ambition and the cold, extreme indifference of space. So, take a look at the real-time dashboard of space exploration. We aren't just spending money, we are reclaiming our place in the stars. Every dollar spent on these systems results in enhanced protection for the pioneers of our species. It prevents the void from sneaking into our circulation and provides a clear path for the next generation of explorers. If you think $150 million is too much for a suit, you are looking at the wrong data points. You are focusing on the expected flight path of a normal economy rather than the sharp maneuvers required for cosmic survival. The combination of extreme speed from orbiting debris and sudden course changes in thermal radiation revealed that we need more than just good protection. We need a directed, high-explosive level of engineering focus. To understand exactly how these layers are meticulously crafted and how the solid propellant of human ingenuity ignited this technology, we need to look even closer. Let's move further to the front, to the most important part of the engineering technology, the kill vehicle of the suit's design. We need to go inside the 14 layers to see how they truly wreak havoc on the dangers of space. What is the big deal about a few layers of Mylar? Let's find out. Let's look inside this engineering technology to see what a $12 million armor actually looks like. The suit is composed of 14 meticulously crafted layers, each with a specific vital function. Well, at the innermost level sits the liquid cooling and ventilation garment, woven with 300 feet of tubing to manage your core temperature. Above that is the pressure bladder, followed by a nylon restraint layer that gives the suit its human shape. Then, we encounter the thermal protection. 7 layers of aluminized mylar, acting like a high-tech thermos to reflect solar radiation. Finally, the outer layer is a blend of Kevlar and Nomex, designed to wreak havoc on any incoming micro-meteoroid. Positioned at the rear is the PLSS, the primary life support system. This is the brain of the operation. Just like the Seeker in an Aero 3 missile, the PLSS pivots its focus to track oxygen levels, battery life, and CO2 scrubbers in real time. It is a masterpiece of integrated engineering. But what's the big deal about the new Artemis suits compared to the famous Apollo models? Well, it all comes down to maneuverability. While the Apollo suits were built like stiff balloons, forcing astronauts into clumsy hops, the Artemis design utilizes advanced carbon fiber bearings in the shoulders and waist. This enables steering and movement that was once thought to be the domain of science fiction. These kinds of technical changes are what allow us to explore the most heavily defended environments in the solar system. We make original videos from scratch, animated by humans, to show that while our biology has a major vulnerability, our ingenuity has no limit. We are reclaiming our place among the stars, one meticulously crafted stitch at a time. This is the future of human exploration, engineered for survival and built for the infinite.